Welcome back to my channel. I know that it has been so long since I've been on my channel and I am so sorry for that, but I'm excited to be back, and I am back for good. Consistency, I am back for good. So today I'm gonna be catching up with y'all, but we're also going to be, doing our makeup today. A really full glam brown skin base makeup routine. So now we're just gonna get right into this look while we catch up to see where I have been all this time. So I'm gonna start. I really want a dewy look today, so I'm going to be using the Tatcha Dewy Skin Cream. This is because I do have dry skin, so I just need to moisturize with my base. When you're trying to do a full glam look and you want a flawless base, you have to make sure that you are prepping your skin perfectly. So far, all I've done is just wash my face. I put a serum on my face. That's why my face already looks kind of moisturized. And I'm just gonna put that on. First primer I'm going to use is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I'm going to put some all over my face. This is so important when you want a flawless base, because this is what's going to stick to the makeup. Now I'm going to prime my smile lines. I always use the NYX glitter primer, and it looks like this in this tiny little container. And I always use this to just apply so I smile, so I can see where they are. If you don't have smile lines or pronounced smile lines, you really don't have to do this step. But if you do, you should do this step because it is so helpful and it prevents the creasing in your smile lines. I'm just gonna take my Laura Mercier Translucent Honey Ultra Blur Powder. I'm just gonna use my powder puff to quickly set the area that I primed. Now that my skin prep is done, I'm going to use my foundation first. So when you're doing a flawless base, you want to choose a foundation that is very full coverage because you really want it to hide all blemishes, dark marks, everything. So I use the NARS Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation in the shade New Caledonia. So I normally use this Real Techniques brush, and it is the 202 brush. And it's basically a perfect brush to use for flawless foundation application. We're going to put about 3 pumps of foundation, and I'm going to lay the foundation everywhere on my face first. And then I'm going to start tapping. So I'm patting the foundation into my skin. While I'm patting in my foundation, I'm just going to talk about what I've been doing, where I've been, why y'all haven't seen me on YouTube. I think my last upload was February, probably around Valentine's Day. After that, life just got super busy and I had so many events I had to plan. Planning really is stressful when you have more than one event happening within a year, so that was a lot. And then also I was really just using a lot of that time to spend in God's presence. I feel like this year I've been in God's presence a lot more, which has really helped me this year, basically. Yeah, but I'm back and I'm definitely going to be uploading way more consistently. I'm very excited about more uploading and just more content. And obviously, if you have anything that you would want to see from me, please comment down below. Everything girly is just who I am, so definitely let me know what else you want to see from me. So we have our foundation down and it is well blended, and we're now going to move on to concealer, which is a very important part of a flawless base makeup routine. First, I'm going to use the darker shade between the 2 concealers, which is the shade Chestnut, and I'm just going to place Chestnut everywhere but the corners of my eyes. And we're gonna put the lighter shade in the corner because we're going for a bright under eye, but we don't want all this area to be too bright. So that's why you use the darker shade closer to your foundation, and then I use the lighter shade in here, right here on my nose. So to contour, I am using the Curve Case, and I'm very, very excited for this today because it is so pigmented, so I know that it's gonna come out so nice. If you're going for a flawless base, you always wanna use full coverage products. So I think I'm gonna use this shade for my contour because it's very warm and I love a warm look. So I'm gonna take my Real Techniques brush in the number 200 and I'm just going to dab it in there. So I'm gonna place it on my forehead. I'm gonna place it right here on my cheekbones. And I'm gonna go into the shade right next to it because I do feel like this is kind of red. So I'm gonna go into this shade right here and just place it on top. So I'm gonna place it here, again, right here, here. So I'm going to blend. I'm gonna start blending my concealer. And when you let it sit, it lets the product have time to stick so your look can come out very flawless and well blended. So letting it sit while you blend out your contour is very beneficial if you want a flawless base. I'm gonna blend out the outer concealer first because that's the darker shade. And I'm gonna blend this part first because this is where I placed Chestnut, which is the darker shade. So now that I've blended the darker concealer first, I'm gonna start blending Butterscotch because I also don't want to let it sit for too long because then sometimes that makes it harder to blend. So I'm gonna blend the nose first. And I'm just gonna bring the blending up to here so it's a seamless transition from my nose to my forehead. I always save the inner eye blending for last because I know that I really want the under eye to be very flawless in a flawless blend. So I always save that for last. So now I'm gonna take a small mirror so I can really see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to pat that concealer in. And when you're blending, you wanna make sure that you are patting in and you're not swiping because swiping will take the product away. So we're gonna pat, and as you can see, it's already not really moving and it's blending flawlessly because of the fact that I let it sit. So that's the benefit of letting your concealer sit so you can have a very flawless finish. I'm gonna take the residue on the contour brush that I used, and everything's gonna be linked down below. And I really don't like a harsh nose contour, so I just used the excess product that was on this brush from before, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep blending. And then I'm going to take that same brush and I'm just going to place my contour lightly on my nose. Now I'm going to place my last concealer. For my last concealer, I'm gonna use the e.l.f. concealer, the satin finish, and this will be my last concealer. I think I'm gonna use Tan Sand today because it looks like it's brighter. So I'm just going to take it. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'm gonna put some on this side. So I'm just gonna place a little bit on my nose and I'm just gonna put a little just to bring back that nose contour. I'm also going to place my blush. So I'm going to use the curve case and I'm going to take this random flat brush that I have and it looks like this. So I'm just going to go into this shade right here. I'm just going to place it like this, 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna do it on the other side, 1, 2, 3. And if you're scared of blush, you don't have to put as much blush as I'm putting, but I love blush, so that's why I'm putting that amount. We're gonna let that concealer sit, but we're going to use my beauty blender to blend out the blush first. So I've just been basically patting in the blush and kind of bringing it a little closer to under my eye. So I'm patting and I'm doing the same here. As you can see, the main thing is to really blend very well because you want to make sure that your products are very well blended, so when people see you, you basically look like a walking filter. So I feel like I've done well at blending this. So I'm gonna take my blending brush again. So now that I see that it blended very well, then I'm going to blend my under eye. I'm already loving the look, like I'm already excited. I'm gonna quickly take my powder, which is my trusted Huda Beauty Easy Bake Loose Baking Setting Powder. And it looks like this. And this is the shade Blondie. I use this all the time. So I'm just going to use my powder puff to set that concealer in place. And I'm just going to pat it into my powder, tap it, put some on my hand because I don't want to put too much. You always want to take away the excess powder before setting. So right now I'm just placing it on the concealer. Everywhere that I put concealer, I'm going to set it with my powder. So I'm going to set. And I'm going to set my chin. Basically, everywhere that we put concealer is where we're going to set that concealer with the Huda Beauty powder. And lastly, I'm going to set my nose. And I'm putting a lot of powder on my nose because that's one place that tends to get oily pretty fast for me. So that's why I like to make sure I put enough. So now I'm going to bake, and how I do it is that I pat the powder puff into the powder, and then instead of patting it on my hand, I'm actually just going to place it under my eyes because I want a lot of powder to sit there while I do my eye makeup. So I'm going to do the same under my other eye. And this is called baking. And I'm gonna move on to my eyebrows. So for my brows, I'm using a brow pencil today. I'm going to take my Morphe Definer Brow Pencil, and this is in the shade Hava. And I'm gonna take a small mirror. I'm just going to start with the bottom of my brows. I'm gonna press the pencil into my skin so the product will really show up. And I'm also going to start from the beginning. And I'm gonna create some strokes right here. Perfect. And while I do my eyebrows, I just wanted to talk about, you know, where I am ever since I turned 27, because I did turn 27 June 19th of this year. But I think that aging is such a blessing. Just seeing who I am, the woman I am today, is just so amazing. I am so proud of myself, and I know I have so much more to accomplish in this life. So right now, I'm loving how this is turning out. I'm gonna take my concealer brush, and this is a MAC brush, but I don't know what number it is. But I'm going to use my concealer shade in Butterscotch, and I'm going to use it to sculpt my eyebrows and prepare for the eyeshadow that we're gonna do. So you're just gonna place the brush along your eyebrows. So I'm just going to blend that out and just bring it on my eyelid, because your concealer is going to serve as your eyeshadow primer. So when you sculpt your eyebrows, you want to bring it down. I'm going to take the concealer in the shade, the Too Faced concealer in the shade Chestnut, the concealer that I used earlier that was closer to my skin tone, and I'm just going to use the same brush to line the top of my brows. And you want to use a concealer closer to your skin tone so that way it won't be too noticeable. If you use a concealer that's too light on the top of your brows, it will kind of give that harsh look on your brows. So now I'm just going to blend it into the rest of my forehead. I'm just going to place the Butterscotch concealer. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush. This is the Real Techniques brush, but I don't know the number because it's wiped off. But I'm gonna take a round, fluffy brush like this, and it's pretty sturdy, so it's going to help me blend out the concealer on my eyes. I'm gonna take my Laura Mercier powder that I used earlier to set my smile lines, and I'm just going to set all the concealer on my eyes. I'm going to just start off with browns. So I'm going to use my eyeshadow palette by Morphe, which is discontinued, but you can use any eyeshadow palette and just find a brown shade. So I'm just going to place this at the very top. I'm just swirling the product around, focusing on the first part of my eyebrows, the front part, and I'm just going to blend it in here because it will go into my nose contour. And that helps you get a very flawless transition from your nose contour to your brows. So I'm going to take this NYX lingerie palette, and I'm going to take a separate flat brush, and I'm going to use this pinkish shade right here because I do want that very soft, girly look today. So I'm just going to take it and pat it on top. Before I move on, I'm going to take another Real Techniques brush. This is the base shadow brush, and it's basically like a fluffy brush like this. You can use any dark brown shade you want, but I'm going to take this shade, and I'm going to use this shade to deepen my crease. So as you can see, I'm just deepening my crease so it can kind of give a smoked out effect on the edges of the eyeshadow. Okay, so lastly, I'm going to line my under eyes with the Rimmel Scandal Eyes waterproof gel pencil in the color black, and I'm just going to tight line my waterline. Lastly, I'm going to take my mascara. Mascara is the Essence Lash Princess mascara, and it's the purple one to define my bottom eyelashes. So now I'm going to take the Juvia's Place Bronze palette, and this is in dark. So I'm going to use this to set everywhere that I contoured. I normally dip it into both shades, and I just already went on my forehead, so I'm going to set here. So now that I've set that, I'm going to squeeze this brush again and just set my nose contour. I am going to take my blush, and this is the Juvia's Place Blushed palette, and this is volume 5. So I'm going to take this random fluffy brush, I don't know where it's from, and I'm going to pat it into my lighter shade first. So now it's time to brush the powder away. And I'm using this Real Techniques brush, but it's the multitask brush. And this is the brush that I always use to brush away all my powders. So I'm gonna brush away. And right now, this is how we're looking, and I am so in love with it. So now I'm going to spray my face the first time, and I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. It's the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. So I'm using this first because that's what's going to blend everything together. And then after that, I'm gonna go in with the one size when I'm really done with my makeup. That way it will lock everything in. So I'm gonna have my fan on standby and spray. So now I'm going to set my under eye one more time with the Laura Mercier Translucent Honey powder, and this is the ultra blur versions. So I'm just going to take it and just pat it closer to the inner part. My lip combo will be a very flirty pinkish nude, so that's what I do all the time anyway. So I'm using my Morphe Trendsetter lip pencil, and I'm going to use that to line my lips. So now that my lip liner is on, I'm gonna take my NYX lipstick, and this is a matte lipstick. It's the shade Shy. And I'm just going to place this in the center of my lips. So right here and right here. So now I'm going to take my two NYX Butter Glosses, and the pinkish nude one is in the shade Fortune Cookie. So I always place that in the middle. And then I take Lava Cake. I just use it to line my lip liner. I'm going to take some highlighter. I normally use this shade. and I'm just going to highlight a little bit and highlight my nose. Okay, so lastly, it's time to brush away the final powder that I put under my eye. So I'm just going to lightly brush that away. And now that that is brushed away, I'm gonna take my One Size in spray. Okay, so I am so in love with how this look came out, and what I'm gonna do now is just go get my outfit so that way I can show you all the final look. So lastly, to add a little something to my eyes, I'm gonna take my Juvia's Place, the Masquerade Mini, and this is a palette that has a lot of pigmented shades. I'm gonna take this shiny shade right here in my corner right here just to add something to the look. I am truly in love with how this look came out. I hope you enjoyed this look today. Follow me on Instagram to see my pictures that I take tonight. Follow me on TikTok. I also filmed a TikTok, so you're gonna be seeing my get ready with me process on there, which is way more chaotic. And meet me in the comments. I appreciate and love you guys so much. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.